Hey guys, it's Lindsay here with the SugarWOD team. I'm super excited to be interviewing Brandon today. He is with EMOM Co. We're going to get to know a little bit more about him and his background, and also they just launched a fitness racing track onto SugarWOD, so we're super excited about that. So we'll get started. Again, thanks for coming on, Brandon. Super excited, and super excited again to have you on SugarWOD. And so just wanted to get to know a little bit more about you. So if you want to, let's just kind of dive in a little bit more about kind of your background in the fitness world, and just, what sparked, the EMOM Co.
Yeah. we can, broad overview. I got into fitness whenever I was in like 6th grade, and I can remember it pretty distinctly. My dad, one summer in between school, I was off for summer vacation. He made a little comment insinuating that I'd put on some weight, and it sparked me to kind of take my fitness into my own hands and started running, doing calisthenics, Navy SEAL videos on VHS, in front of the TV after school, eating right, and getting into that. And I got kind of obsessed with it through that process. But played sports, big time wrestler through high school, and that was my main focus in high school. I loved sports, I loved wrestling, I loved training. I trained, I'd go run or do calisthenics in the morning before school, hit wrestling practice, hit extra drills after practice, go home and do some more training. And so it for a long time, it was just a massive passion of mine. It still is. But going into college, this is how I got started in CrossFit. Going into college, I decided not to wrestle, decided to go get a physics degree, knew that was going to be incredibly challenging, and that having this focus of wrestling in college wasn't going to pan out in terms of trying to do well in academics, but also do well in wrestling, because I knew in high school academics took a total backseat to wrestling. So wiped that plan of trying to go wrestle in college. But my brother was doing CrossFit, and so he got me to go do I think the first CrossFit workout I ever did with him was Murph. And being a wrestler, being pretty small, loved running, it was a fun workout for me, right? We didn't wear weight vests or anything either, and so I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then that summer after I graduated high school, he brings me into a CrossFit gym. It was kettlebell swings, double unders, which I could only do single unders, and running. And it whooped my butt. And I was in good shape. I was a wrestler, just coming out of high school. But there's these guys that were in their 50s and 60s whooping my butt in this workout. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I fell in love with the community aspect of it as well. Mm-hmm. And so there's the competitive aspect of being in the box and competing with the members of your class and the everyone else throughout the day, on the whiteboard, writing everything down. Mm-hmm. And then the community aspect of it, we're all working out together, and I fell in love with CrossFit immediately. I was like, okay, this will feed my competitive gap that was kind of empty after wrestling. I was like, but I'm not going to take it too serious. Still got to get this physics degree. And of course, that didn't really happen. Ended up starting competing locally, and then teams on regionals, and then regionals as an individual, and then qualified for my first CrossFit Games in 2018. Took a year off after 2018 to finish my master's in medical physics. Went back in 2020 as an individual, 2021 as an individual. And then in 22, I was done with undergrad, residency, grad school. I was done with all my academics. Started working for my dad as a medical physicist. Well, I was working a lot then, and I didn't want my fitness to take a backseat. I was learning all of the ropes in terms of running the company, getting new clients. So what I found was I only had 30 minutes to an hour maybe to work out every day. And there was this mental aspect of coming off of competing. I didn't want to do I didn't want to do the same metcons I was doing with competitive athletes because I was self-conscious about like my scores. I wanted to get a lot done in 30 minutes. And I started just writing like these 30-minute EMOMs. And I had this formula that I would use. It was one monostructural movement, like a row, a ski C2 bike, a ski, a run, whatever it might be. A body weight movement like a burpee or a ring muscle up, some kind of gymnastics or calisthenics, something a little explosive, and then a barbell or a weighted movement. So those were the three things I'd put into every single EMOM, and they were insanely effective for me. I was like, dang, I'm getting back in shape. I'm feeling really good. And it's only taken me 30 minutes and I'm just like wiped. And that's all I need for the day. Eat right, spend my time working, spend my time with my wife. And I was really loving it. And my brother-in-law, my sister and I, my wife, we were all doing a 30-minute EMOM over Thanksgiving holidays. And I was like, I told my brother-in-law, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about kind of like sharing these workouts because he was talking about how much he had loved it. I was like, maybe I'll share them on Instagram. And so I just started throwing the workouts on Instagram, EMOMs all the time, 2 or 3 a week, and people were enjoying it. I was like, maybe there's other guys and dads and moms and professionals out there who are looking for a quick, heavy dose of fitness in a short amount of time, and maybe they'll enjoy these workouts. So I was just throwing it on Instagram. That's when I started the EMOM Company Instagram page. And people were loving them. Like, we had a couple thousand followers, maybe 2,000 followers on Instagram, but they were really liking the workouts. And I mean, that ran for maybe 6 months or so, and I started getting requests or like people asking about subscription programs. And I distinctly remember telling a friend of mine, like, he was asking about like the EMOM Co. He's like, oh, is it a real company? I was like, no, dude, we just give stuff for free on Instagram. I have no desire to be responsible to write program every day of the week and have like a structured program. I'd never really written a structured program before, didn't feel confident in that kind of thing. And I didn't want to have to write it for, because once you start selling a subscription, you're locked in until you decide to stop. I was like, I don't think that's for me. And, but we started getting enough requests where I remember asking my brother-in-law again, I was like, dude, should we do this? Like, kind of see if we can give it a run? He's like, yeah, I think we should. I think we can give it a shot. I was like, okay, well, I need you to help me. Like, I'll write the program. You take care of all the back end stuff, and we'll see like how it goes. Like, maybe we can make an extra $500 a month if we get enough members. And so we launched it, and it started off with just what we called our daily program, which is for the busy individuals, an hour start to finish, warm up, lift, and then a Metcon. The Metcons are generally 15 to 30 minutes. That's, for me, my sweet spot. If I'm not competing, I want to get a heavy dose of fitness. I'm not trying to be the fastest in the world at Fran. I'm not trying to be the strongest on the squat. I'm not trying to, run ultra marathons. I want to be fit for 15 to 30 minutes. And that's where I get the heaviest dose of my fitness. And so like that was the formula we ran. And we started off with like 25 members. And I think like the first paycheck we had ever gotten was like $250. We're like, oh, this is cool. Like, some extra cash, this was like 3 years ago. And then we just, slowly grew, and people were, asking for competitive programs. So I was doing individualized competitive program on the side. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm writing, these competitive programs for 10 different people, what if I just wrote one program that had everything you could need from any weakness standpoint, so that they could pick and pull. Okay, if I'm bad at lifting, let me put like my focus on all the lifting. If I'm bad at skills, we have a skills section. If I need more endurance training, I give you 2 endurance options, and we have Metcons. If I could give all of them the same thing that has everything that each individual person would need for their weaknesses, this would be great for them. It'll cost them less. It'll be more time efficient for me, since I'm also trying to, be a physicist at the same time. And that's where our competitive program, kind of evolved into that. So we had, the competitive, and then we had the daily. But long story short, whoa, it just zoomed in on you. Wasn't expecting that. But it just over time we just added a couple more programs, like the 90-minute running clock program, the minimal
Mhm.
equipment program, and we just tried to keep providing value. And today we have over 900 members, which is just wild to me to think. We've just grown to that size. We're certainly not the biggest by any means, but from where we started, like not even planning, like this wasn't our intention by any means to get to this point, is like really cool, and it's been a really fun process. But yeah, I just took you through like a 30-minute story of how the EMOM Co got started. Like,
No, it's great. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool, again, your background, and again, just the knowledge you had, and you were just like, hey, I'm gonna run with this. And like you said, there's a lot of people out there who don't have the time. So like, I mean, I feel like I went through a season of life where I felt like, I had a ton of time to train, to like starting, a big girl job, right?
yeah,
And then I didn't have as much time to train. So like, you want to feel like can get in an hour to
yeah,
30 minutes, like, and just be done. And actually, while you're talking too about like these 40-minute, like these EMOMs that you've been doing, I've actually am remembering the first workout that I did that was one of the EMOM Co workouts. I was like, this is again the most bang for my buck, because
yeah,
I was like, this is great. I did it with my friend in his garage. It was a bike. It was bike, double under, single arm doubles press, and box jump overs. And I
yeah,
was like, this is great.
yeah.
So I always think that some of the workouts that you're like, that doesn't look too bad on paper, right? Then you start getting into it and you look up and you're like, I've only done 10 minutes of this 40-minute workout. Like,
It's those simple ones that look easy on paper
yes,
that always get you.
yes.
Like they
I'm
just strip
like,
you.
yeah, no, I thought it was so great. So like, again, just like stuff like that. And again,
Yeah,
you can enjoy it with like other people as well, because, just moving through. We
yeah,
only had one bike, we
yeah,
rotated through. So it was great. So I
yeah.
was like, this kicked my butt, but 40 minutes, I'm done.
Yep, 100%. And you're racing against the clock and not somebody else, which was also really nice for me coming out of
Hmm.
being a competitor.
Yeah.
I was always so used to trying to race somebody else or just go as hard as I could, and then just
Hmm.
having the clock keeping me accountable and just moving through really like it put my like mind and heart at
Hmm.
ease while I was training and just gave me a different
Yeah.
focus. That was nice.
Yeah. And I think too, like, I mean, I think about it like traveling wise, like, I think my go to if I'm going to be traveling, like hotel, gym, whatever for work, EMOM, like, is something
Mhm.
that I want to be hitting, like, by myself and in a hotel, like early
Yeah,
morning. I'm like, I think my go to would be to choose an EMOM. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah. Um, yeah, awesome. So, just to kind of keep diving into like some of the, EMOM Co philosophy here. So your shirt, even though it's zoomed in
Yeah.
onto your
Let
face,
me
it
see if I
says,
can get it out. Maybe,
yeah,
maybe not. Oh,
there
there
we
it
go, a
is.
little bit.
Yeah,
It's
keep
trying.
chasing.
Yeah, keep chasing. So, what kind of brought that up to kind of like be that kind of slogan for?
Yeah. Um, so to me, training physically has always been much more than just the physical training. And a big part of it to me is like the mental training. And one of the things we would talk about early on in the Imam Co life was like the mental aspect of running through a 30-minute Imam, 10 rounds, 3
Mhm.
movements, like you're questioning whether or not you can make the next minute. You're questioning whether or not you can do it. And like there's a huge mental aspect to it. But like the training we do in the gym, in our box, in our affiliate, in the hotel room, wherever we are,
Mhm.
a large part of it is mental discipline, mental
Mhm.
fortitude, strength. And I think that is so important to train for life. It like, there's no secret about it. Like people who train physically are very strong emotionally and mentally outside of life. They're better
Mhm.
employees, they're better spouses and partners and parents because they're just so tough. It makes everything better. They're more disciplined in their diet, they're more disciplined with like everything. And so it has this huge effect. And so it was something we always preached about. We didn't just talk about training physically. We also talked about like the mental aspect of life and success. And because like quite frankly, I don't care if you're the fittest human in the world. I want you to be an optimal person all around. I want you to be good everywhere. And so, we talk about that quite a bit. And it was some post I had made like a little over a year ago that said like is it was something about like chasing your like whatever it is you want in life, like go chase it. It's worth putting out the effort and the sacrifice and going through the pain and doing all of the hard things to go chase that thing that you want, whatever it might be. um and I think that's the only way to go about life, is to go chase something that's scary and daunting and hard. um and so yeah, keep chasing just became my wife ended up taking just the keep chasing part, because I think the quote was signed off as like keep chasing like dash the EMOM Co. So she took the keep chasing part, found this like really cool script and put it on a shirt, and I was like, that is clean. And
Mm-hmm.
so then it just became like the thing is like the keep chasing. And it's been really cool because there's people that got it tattooed on their arms now, which
That's
is really
awesome.
cool. And it's just like, you know, it's become just like very ingrained in like the Imam Co now, is like the keep chasing mindset.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's important to me, and it's important to our community.
Yeah. That's crazy that people got tattoos. Do you
Yeah,
have a tattoo of it?
I will have one.
Okay.
Yeah, not yet though.
Okay. Well, we'll
I
be
have
on the
to find
lookout for
yeah,
that.
I have to find things important enough to let for my wife to let me tattoo them on my body. So
Okay. Well, we'll be on the lookout for that. We'll be
mhm.
like, oh wait, yep, he got the keep
Yeah,
chasing
yeah.
tat. I love that. Um, so to kind of switch gears, so you just launched the fitness racing track on
Yes.
SugarWOD.
Yeah.
So just want to kind of talk a little bit more about that, kind of what inspired you guys to start like that specific programming. I know, God, we're in the high rocks era of the
Yeah.
fitness world right now. I believe you've done a high rocks as well, right?
I've done a
So
few, yeah.
yeah, so just kind of wanted to see, what inspired
Yeah.
you guys to launch that.
Yeah. So for like a year or two now, I've been wanting to write another program that was more hybrid style, where it was like CrossFit without the handstand push-ups and handstand walks and ring muscle ups
Mm-hmm.
and like all of those things that were way more sport specific at like a high level, but weren't necessary for overall fitness, conditioning, and strength. And so, I've been like wanting to write like I wanted to call it like CrossFit after sports. So, like when you're done competing, like
I
this is
like
what
that.
CrossFit could
Yeah.
be if you weren't competing
Mm-hmm.
anymore, and it's like reduce injury, increase longevity, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
More of a bodybuilding powerlifting, less snatching, less clean and jerks, like, much more like fundamental and simple. And with high rocks and hybrid athletes kind of exploding onto the scene,
Mm-hmm.
um it was a really great opportunity for us to kind of move with that philosophy. And I had reached out to one of our coaches, Joey Costi, who is an incredible endurance athlete. He was a great CrossFit athlete, but really, really good at endurance stuff like ultra marathon, cycling, and like he just really understood how to develop that in athletes. And he's a great programmer. And so I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, do you want to write a hybrid program, or do you want to write like a high rocks program?" He's like, "Dude, high rocks all the way." And so,
No doubt.
yeah. And so our high rocks program is definitely more geared at people who love like more of the CrossFit feel. So like there's a decent bit more like lifting and metcons with like a high rocks focus on them, but definitely like more lifting and metcons than you would see probably in other purely high rocks dedicated programs. And it's great for a lot of running and rowing and like
Mm-hmm.
monostructural work for building that really deep aerobic base that you need to be successful at high rocks. um, but definitely, yeah, a little bit more of a focus on strength training and metcons compared to, I think, purely want to be best in the world high rocks. So yeah,
Gotcha.
it's definitely like a different blend. But it's a really great program, and I think he's done a phenomenal job writing it, and it's been fun to see that, like, the people start hopping on there and hitting the workouts. It's been cool to see.
Yeah. Like I said, it's feels like, there's a lot of people who are going from CrossFit into this high rock. So
Yeah,
it's nice to hear too that it's not like specific like high rock stuff. It's again just kind of
yeah,
taking some CrossFit styled stuff and
yeah.
making, into
Yeah, and I think most of the people that are hitting it that I'm seeing, on Instagram and stuff,
Mhm.
they're still, they're at their like their CrossFit
Mhm.
affiliates. They're still
Yep.
CrossFit athletes. They just
Yeah.
really love, like, people like me, where like I was definitely not like I didn't love lifting. I loved like cycling and running and rowing and stuff. Where you're like, man, I'd really love to hit some of that, but I still like CrossFit, and so it's a
Mhm.
cool blend of it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, pretty much everyone who's following it is, their their roots are in CrossFit. They're like, yeah, I
Yeah.
want to hit some races, hit a couple races, be
Yeah.
confident, feel good, and yeah, so it's great for that.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm like the opposite. I'm like, I want a barbell in my hands, and I'm like, I'm okay on the running and rowing. Like,
Yeah,
I'll you know,
yeah. So you would
pass
love
on that.
the cool thing is like you would love our program because it's not just 10 miles of running every
Yeah.
day. But
Okay.
then if you also love running but still want to do some high rocks, it's like, okay, we got
Yeah.
more running here, but we still got some of the
Yeah.
other stuff to keep you strong. So it's a good blend.
I actually like that because again, it's like sometimes you feel like in CrossFit you want to do obviously the stuff that you're good at, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
like I want to pick up a barbell, but like also I need to hit some running. I still need to hit the running. I
yeah,
still need to hit the rowing, all that good stuff.
yeah.
So, that's good. So I know there's like some different levels of the High Rocks
Mhm.
programming.
Yeah,
Can you kind of explain to me a little bit more, to somebody who's newer to the program, like what those levels are, why you guys
yeah,
kind of built those out?
yeah. So levels was like basically started whenever we were doing EMOMs.
Gotcha.
Because we would have like a level 4 where like
Okay.
it was you had to be super fit, basically cross. There's that zoom again. I don't know why it keeps doing that. It's like got a mind of its own. Uh, Basically you had to be like a games level athlete to finish a level 4 EMOM. And it wasn't always like on the minute. It might have been on the 2 minutes, on the 5 minutes, whatever it might
Gotcha.
be, on an interval. Okay, so like, okay, we need like 3 levels, but
Mm-hmm.
then even like level 1 was still like really hard, especially to people who were new into like CrossFit. So we needed like more levels. We ended up having like 4 levels plus the foundations, but I ended up blending that into all of our intervals, like whether or all of our metcons. So whether it was, interval work, or just like chippers, or for like 5 rounds for time, we blended in levels, and the levels were basically geared at, okay, what's the total volume of the workout, and who can tolerate that kind of level, like
Mm-hmm.
that kind of volume of specific movement, or that barbell load, or whatever it might be. Because let's be honest, like if you have 2 options, RX and scaled, like fitness is a spectrum. There's not just RX athletes. There's not just scaled athletes.
Yeah.
There's people all in between, and depending on the gym you go to, and RX plus, you might have someone who's just like, okay, well, I need a heavier barbell, or I need
Mm-hmm.
an extra round, or whatever it might be. And so I started looking at the total volume of metcons, and like how many movements were in them, and scaling movements, and reps and load. And so people love the levels because there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
And they can be like, okay, like you did level 3 and I did level 3, we can compare. Or I did level 3 and he did level 4, but our times are very similar. So that means like I'm choosing appropriately. Or,
Gotcha.
we want everybody to have access to the same feel, regardless of what level fitness they are, where they're at, or what, how strong they are, or what skills they have. So, we will have like handstand walks versus wall walks versus walkouts, and like that's all different levels. And so it's just made it very accessible for everybody to get into. And so with High Rocks, we took the same approach of like, okay, like we might not be running, we might have someone who's, never run more than 3 miles. We might have someone who runs 10 miles 5 times a week. We need to be able to provide good stimulus to both people so that they can see progress. And that, in the Metcons, the same thing. We have, maybe the paces you need to hit. We scale those down, the total volume. And so Yeah, those levels are super important for allowing people of like at every stage of fitness to come in and have confidence that they're getting a good workout. They're not overtraining. And so yeah, it just makes it accessible to everybody. And then we also have like a lot of optional work in there because like we said, like with the daily program versus a competitive program, how much time you
Yeah.
have available, how far you want to take the sport, or like how serious you want to be. We've provided a lot of what we call optional work. And so depending, if I have
Yeah.
an hour versus 2 hours, it's like we prioritize it. Okay, like this is priority 1 for the day, this is priority 2, this is all optional. Just to give people more value. We have one price point, and whether you're hitting 1 high rocks a year or you're hitting 5 high rocks a year and you're trying to qualify for worlds, we've got enough volume for you to try to to make great progress. And so that was our philosophy with it, is like we want to provide as much value to anyone coming in at any level and give them a great product.
Yeah. And that was going to be kind of, again, my follow-up question, like the time domain stuff. And like you said, can you expect that like hour long? And then again, you're just kind of getting that optional work. So
Yeah.
you're saying, again, you'll probably get that done in probably like an hour. And then if you do have the time, you can always hit that
Yep.
extra work. So yeah.
Yeah,
That's nice.
especially with high rocks where the race itself is for most people going to be over an hour. A lot of our workouts are much longer in the 30 minutes to 45 to 60-minute range, just because you have to be able to tolerate that kind of duration of endurance training. But yeah, you can definitely fit a bunch of it within an hour. Maybe some of them might be, okay, you need to go 90 minutes in this training session. Same thing if you were doing like a triathlon. You can't train for a triathlon by just doing 30 minutes a day and expect to, exceed your expectations or whatever it might be. So yeah, there's definitely like some minimums in there, but yeah. So yeah, we've just been able to tailor it so that, okay, if you got an hour, this is what you got. And if you got 90 minutes or 2 hours, whatever, there's extra for you.
Yeah. That's always nice, again, because sometimes you just don't have the time. And
Exactly.
so people, I feel like some people have the mindset of just not doing it if they don't have, if they see 2 hours, they're like, oh, okay, well,
yep.
I can't get that in today.
Yeah, we wanted to avoid that where people felt like they had to do 2 hours, but we also wanted to provide it in case people did. So
yeah,
both sides of the fence.
Yeah, awesome. So for you specifically, like, I just want to kind of see, like, how many high rocks have you done? Do you have a favorite one that you've done? And then do you like have one like on the books right now?
Yeah, so the first one I did was in 2022 during the year I took off of competing. That one I did in Dallas. So that was individual. And that was whenever High Rocks had like kind of just busted onto the scene. There were a lot of people there, but just nothing like it was like last year that I went. I did another individual race in Dallas this past year in 2024. I ran an extra lap every single round. And it ended up being like an extra 2 miles because they said like, okay, like whenever you come out, you have to pass the exit 3 times. I was like, okay, 3 laps. So I ran an extra lap every single round. It ended up being like so much extra running. I didn't even get a chip time. I looked at my watch. I was like an hour in. And I had like 2 more stations. I was like, yeah, my best time's like an hour and 6 minutes or something from 3 years ago whenever I wasn't training. And I'm in much better shape now. And so I was like, yeah, I messed something up.
You're like, something's not right here.
So that was race number 2. Race number 3, I did partner with a friend of mine, which was really fun to do partner race. You get to split up the stations, but you run together. And then that same weekend I did the partner race, I did a relay with my brother-in-law who owns EMOM Co with me, and then a couple of his friends. Which the relay race, you basically do a lap in a station and then tag out. So it's like super high intensity, super quick. Great entry level for people if they're looking to like get into high rocks for the first time and get a feel for it. Because it's just not, it's not an hour and an hour and a half of straight work by yourself. You get to work with the team and stuff. So it was all fun. I've done all the races, and it's funny you ask, like, am I doing any more? Trying to get them in the books. I have tried to sign up for everything that's been released, and I haven't gotten a single ticket yet. Like, I looked at Seoul, South Korea. I looked at London. I looked everywhere, and they're all sold out.
Wow.
So if you
Those
have
would be
any,
really, really cool places to
oh, that'd be
go
awesome.
too.
Like we have EMOM Co members in Seoul, South Korea. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that'd be so cool to go over there and
Yeah.
like go train at their gym and then go run the race.
Yeah.
Sold
That'd be
out.
super cool.
So, but a friend of mine has a High Rocks affiliate, so he got like 3 tickets to every race
Oh, okay.
that he could reserve, and so he wanted to do a partner race in Boston, the Boston
Okay.
race. So I might be able to actually get a race in. So I'm excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. And I didn't know they did that for High Rocks affiliates that you
Yeah.
get. That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool.
And
Well, yeah.
so that, and then outside of that, I've been using the High Rocks program to prepare myself for a 30-mile and ultra marathon
Wow.
in Moab, Utah
Okay.
in November. Since I couldn't get into any of the High Rocks, I was like, I got to do something.
Yeah. You're like,
I'll go
I
shoot.
can't waste all this training.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do a 50K in
Yeah.
Moab, Utah in a couple months.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been specifically doing like the fitness racing stuff, right?
Mhm.
So I know you kind of briefly touched on it, but like what would you kind of say the biggest difference for some of the people like myself who does
Yeah.
CrossFit? Like the difference between the CrossFit stuff and like
Yeah.
the High Rocks racing, and like, you know, maybe someone who's a little hesitant, like whether
Yeah.
or not like they should go from the CrossFit to the High Rocks or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so the biggest difference is going to be like one of the things we touched on was like less complex movements, like the higher like the CrossFit style movements. You're not really going to see like heavy snatching or heavy clean and jerks. You're not going to see handstand walking and ring muscle ups and bar muscle ups. All that stuff is like very sport specific at a high level for CrossFit for like for people who want to compete, but not necessary for overall strength and endurance. You're also going to see a lot more endurance, longer endurance pieces, you know, like we said, 30 to 45 to 60-minute range with a bigger focus on running. So a lot of it is running progressions aimed at building a base, building lactate threshold, building VO2 max, building speed and everything on running specifically. And you'll still see lifting, mainly like the list we focus on the most are going to be like squatting, some pressing, pulling, like deadlifting, and maybe some power cleans for like power production. And it's not going to be like a crazy amount of volume. You know, you're not going to be lifting for like a whole hour every day.
Gotcha.
There's also a good bit of like bodybuilding mixed in there, just for like longevity and health and aesthetics. And then any metcons we still have like, you know, we'll have like thrusters or really light power snatches, kettlebell swings, dumbbell movements, sled pushes, things of that nature that keep you very physically prepared for anything, but, you know, definitely prepare you well for the stations that you'll see in High Rocks.
Yeah. And that's why I think, you know, High Rocks has obviously like done a really good job, and just in the sense of it's not necessarily as intimidating as like CrossFit, right? Like it's really accessible, and
Extremely.
like you're not going to see the high volume gymnastics, stuff like that. So it is nice to have like, again, a specific program, and I feel like that can like ease your way right into like, you know, I feel like a lot of people are saying like they went from CrossFit to High Rocks, but like there's a lot of people who are like, I've never done CrossFit, but like I am like loving the High Rocks stuff. So
well,
if you're not wanting to get the, you know, barbell gymnastics, stuff like that. And
there's a reason they have 7,000 racers a weekend. It's extremely accessible. It's you know what you're getting into when you sign up. There's no questions. There's you know, and so that makes it super accessible and fun. And I think they've done a great job at structuring, you know, how the race is handled from a competitor's point of view. And when I say competitor, I mean like high level competitor, and then people who are like doing their first race and like never ran a race before, like the whole spectrum of people who are getting into it to, you know, compete with themselves or compete with somebody else. They've done a fantastic job of it, and it's cool to see.
It's cool.
Yeah, definitely. So it's awesome.
Yeah. All right. So I have a couple, like 4 questions here. Just kind of like this or that quick questions. So first one, favorite movement in the racing track?
I like the burpee broad jump.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so EMOM Co is known for burpee box jumps. Like every week we hit them. And so like, you know, I got to go with the burpee broad jump.
Broad jumps.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair. That's a good answer. Okay. And next one. This is a yes or no question. Coffee before a workout. Yes
Yes.
or no? Yes. That's
Yeah.
an easy question.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you, I think I might know this from just what we were talking about, but barbell or kettlebell?
Barbell.
Okay.
You might have thought kettlebell, but I love it. The barbell doesn't have to be heavy, but I love a barbell.
True. Okay.
I like
Fair.
cycling for reps. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair. And then last one, you can think on this for a second, but one word that describes your community.
Selfless.
Oh, I like that. You want to kind of
Yeah, I feel
say
like
why?
I just feel like our community is they're all very giving to each other. It's a special community that we've been able to
Yeah.
I don't know, build, attract, whatever it is. Maybe part of it is because we give as much as we can back to our community, and they recognize that and they give back. But it's a really cool group of people that I've been able to meet and get to know, and so yeah, they're stellar.
Yeah. I would say again, like you built this off of, just because you love what you do. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it just wasn't like you didn't, you know, purposefully kind of do this. It seems like you kind of just like
yeah,
fell
yeah,
into it and it just clicked and it worked. So yeah,
yeah.
I can see why you're
We never intended to make a dollar doing it.
yeah.
And so we both work full time still.
Mm-hmm.
My brother-in-law and I, and that's allowed us to give a lot back into
Yeah.
the community, to the members, through our our quarterly challenges, which the High Rocks program is part of the quarterly challenges. We give back $1,500 in prizes, $5,000 in prizes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Uh, we've only been able to do that because we still work full time outside of the EMOM Co, and so
Yeah.
it's been really fun.
Awesome. And then just to kind of wrap everything up, so we can kind of dive into this as well. So, like, any advice that you have for people who are kind of entering into the High Rocks world, like, what would you kind of tell them?
Yeah. Well, so my advice to people entering into a new challenge is that when it gets hard, you just need to remember that it's supposed to be. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you started. There's this part of every human who wants to do something challenging that they question whether or not they can complete. And so once it gets difficult and challenging and you start to question whether or not you can, just remember, like, hey, that's why you started, and that's the fun part. The and it's the chase. It's the chase of like
Mm-hmm.
that goal that you have to finish a High Rocks. You took it on because it was going to be challenging, and the fun part is that it is challenging. And
Yeah.
so take it slow, enjoy the journey, enjoy the difficulty in it. Whenever you have PRs and successes and do things that you didn't think you could ever complete, step back and be like, hey, that was really cool. It's the hike to the top of the mountain. Don't just stop for the view at the very top. Make little stops as you go along and look at the trees and the beauty and the flowers around you. So whenever you do something crazy that you didn't think you could ever do, you ran your first 3 miles,
Yeah.
you hit a back squat PR, whatever it is, take a stop and take a second to stop and be like, all right, that's really cool. And then
Yeah.
get back to the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that advice. And then, so for all of our SugarWOD community here, what is kind of the best way for them to kind of follow you guys, like get to know you? Like, is that social media? Like,
Definitely. Yeah.
okay.
So, not TikTok. Instagram's definitely going to be like, I run the Instagram page. So if you
Okay.
reach out to us on Instagram, it's going to be me answering. I do the reels and everything on there every time we
Okay.
post. So that's a great place to reach out to us. We have a lot of videos and stuff on YouTube. You can go see me take on the High Rocks
It's fun.
physical fitness test. That was a fun little thing we did. We'll be dropping a vlog from last November when I went and ran that race. So yeah, you can see our podcast on there as well, where we talk mindset with some really cool people. And then we got at home workouts. So if you're out at the hotels, traveling, whatever it might be, home for vacations, we got body weight and minimal equipment workouts that you can do anywhere. So those are some great resources for you. And yeah, that's where you can reach us.
Awesome. Well, guys, Brandon, thank you so much. The fitness racing track is live on SugarWOD. Again, super excited to have it on our platform, and go check it out. Brandon and his team are great. I know that they'll be happy to answer any questions again as you guys kind of dive into the programming. But yeah, Brandon, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I'm really glad that we got to be able to partner up with you guys. So thanks for reaching out to us and making that connection and bringing us on.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, Lindsay.